So then health, is focused on two main processes. It's focused on coping and development. So coping is really the mastery of the problem solving. So once you have gone through the situation several times, you really become able to cope with this difficult situation. So in the example of a sick child that I already used, you wouldn't be able to cope initially with the problem, right? You would feel very scared maybe or difficult to deal with. But as you go through this problem many, many times, you really are able to problem solve and deal with the situation in a very effective way. So this is what McGill talks about as coping. And so health is really focused on when you are able to cope. It doesn't mean there's no bad things in your life. It doesn't mean you may not be sick, but it means you know how to deal with being sick. So you can have chronic disease in this model. You just know how to manage your chronic disease. So maybe I have a colostomy bag, and I know how to care for my colostomy bag. This would be considered health in the McGill model. If I had a colostomy bag and I had no idea how to do anything with it, and it kept exploding or having the blowouts, right, and all of these problems, or maybe my skin got really excoriated, this would not be coping. So this would be ineffective health within the McGill model. It also talks about development and continuing to grow within your strengths. So we all have our ability to cope, but because McGill is focused on learning through time, they say that as you develop your strengths through time and you continue to undergo stressful situations and improve on your ability to cope from these situations, that we're actually developing our patients, and they're beginning to achieve more and more in their life because they are continuing to grow and have new knowledge and change over time. So health in this model is about coping and continuing to grow in your abilities and strengths to be able to cope with difficult situations. So this is kind of the idea of health in the McGill model. Does that make sense? It's about coping, yeah? And then continuing to get better. So the environment then is where the lessons are learned. So the environment can be anywhere in the McGill model. So it can be in the hospital, it can be in the community, it could be at a school, it could happen while you're at the grocery store. Because for the McGill model, the idea of the environment is wherever you learn these health lessons to improve your coping strategies. This is where the environment is that nursing takes place, or that nursing and health can happen. So anytime you experience a challenge, a healthcare related challenge, this is the environment or the context of where nursing can happen. So it's not specifically defined to like a hospital bed or a primary healthcare center, but any place that people experience healthcare challenges. So if I stub my toe as I'm walking in the university, this would be the environment where nursing has happened and where I learn how to deal with my stubbed toe, right? If it happens when I'm at the hospital, that's fine, but it frequently happens in places that we're not, right? We get injured or have our health challenges maybe in our home, in our workplace, as we're driving, in a variety of locations, right? So this is the environment. It can happen anywhere.